But Kliptown, as it is today, we all know what the issues are around Kliptown, and the protest that you are seeing today in El Rado Park is also in connection with housing and how people in El Rado Park actually feel that they've been left out for quite some time. And as I said earlier in my introduction, that on the 23rd of this month, May, we will then be passing our first budget as the new administration, which will then start implementing what we have promised throughout the election. And that has not forgotten people in Anarado Park and all these other areas that I've mentioned, including Annandale, to ensure that service delivery comes to those people. I think just before the State of the City, the mayor went out to Fine Town to go and say, here we are going to start putting in electricity for those people that have been left for years now without electricity. And that's why you've got all these illegal connections, including Slovo Park and all those other areas, which is not forgotten. Right next to El Rado Park. In winter, as we all know, that electricity has become a problem. It switches off whenever there's an overload. And those were some of the issues that we wanted to address as the new administration to ensure that the electricity grid within the city is stabilized. And that's why that was one of the most important programs to ensure that we do that. We also said we're going to start incorporating the entities, all the entities in the city, to ensure that we've got full control of what is happening within City Power, within Pick It Up, within Joburg Water, and all the other entities that you can think about within the city. And the mayor said, give me 18 months to ensure that I'm able to incorporate these entities so that you can keep me accountable for what City Power is doing and what it's not doing, including Pick It Up and all the other entities. Remember, there's a board and there is a management team at all these entities. And we don't have control of that. Now that we're going to incorporate them, we would then have full control of these entities. Then you can blame us. It is a pity that people yesterday actually went into a meeting in El Rado Park, and now you've got all these service delivery protests within El Rado Park without the leadership, in fact, approaching the city and saying, these are our problems. Sure. When are you going to address them?
So these issues were not raised with the city before?
We went on an IDP process throughout the city. People had their inputs. I was personally in El Rado Park where people raised their issues. We've taken note of the issues, and obviously those are going to be incorporated into the budget being passed on the 23rd, right? But people choose right now, before the budget is even passed, to start protesting and in fact being misled by certain individuals. Burning cars, damaging private individuals' cars and stuff like that, instead of coming to the city, talking like big people. How do you go and talk to a mob in the city, busy burning, throwing stones, and doing all these funny things, instead of talking so that we can resolve the problems? It's not possible to deal with service delivery problems that has been there for 22 years in 8 months. You cannot compare 8 months to 22 years.
Right.
And here the mayor made his statement, state of the city, and a week later, people start this kind of behavior. I really think that people must start listening to what the leaders out there, the current administration, is saying, and follow that so that we can assist one another. There is many problems within the city. We all see them. But give us a chance to deal with the problems.
It is 24 minutes after 1 o'clock, 97.2 The Empowerment Hour, coming to you live between the hours of 1 and 2 on your station where it all began. My name is James, doing this with Brajo, Uncle Joseph Cody on the other side. Then, of course, the Speaker of the City of Johannesburg, Councilor Vasco Da Gama, joining us on the Empowerment Hours, discussing, of course, service delivery related issues, or maybe not only service delivery, but also some of the violence that we have seen in our communities. We'll also be speaking about the situations in Westbury and the surrounding areas where we have actually been losing so many lives. I mean, last week I was on air on the Daily Wrap-Up Show only to get an SMS and a WhatsApp message that we have just lost another young life in Westbury. I mean, that's actually one of the sad things happening in the communities of Kofifi land. And I'll be discussing that as well, the safety of community members right here in the city of Johannesburg, Joe. I know that you have been discussing this many a times, and now we get comments from community members saying that they have been forgotten before, but now I hear Councilor Vasco Da Gama saying, you know what, they might have been forgotten before, but come this month, before the end of this month, they'll definitely feel included as well in the city of Johannesburg's budget.
Yeah, definitely, James. I don't go into mince my words, because you are sitting day in and day out, and most of your SMSs that comes through is about the colored community.
Mm-hmm.
They begin to believe that they are the forgotten people, and it's people like Noordgesig. There's SMSs coming in, and lots of other areas. It's not just the Westbury area, the Nuclear area, the Bosman area. There's people in Noordgesig, there's people in Annandale, there's people in Randfontein, and it's all those people in Boksburg, all those people that feel that they are the forgotten nation. And we as a radio station, as a mouthpiece of our people, just felt that no, we have to get the speaker of the city in to address those issues, because the speaker is familiar with those areas. The speaker knows all the ills that are happening in these areas, be it crime, James, and crime is one of the biggest problem, and it's the worst. And you now have a situation, and it's sad, James, and the speaker, we must seriously address this one. Most of the kids that are dying come from poor families.
Yes, sure.
And now you get the situation where the people cannot bury we have the situation again now with this morning's one, sure, where I know the mother personally, you understand. I know the family personally, because we close to one another in Westbury, you understand. Whether we like one another or not, we are close. There was a time where we were all one big family, and now suddenly you get a situation where everybody is fighting against everybody, you understand. And it's not because we were fighting, but external people came into the area, you understand, with drugs and all those things, and that is polluting the area, and crime, and it's now separating us from one another. And what is that mother going to do now to make sure that a child is buried in a decent fashion if she doesn't have money? And it's a problem. It becomes a worse problem than unemployment, you understand, because if you look at unemployment is not as worse as letting a family's dignity down, where the family cannot give their child a dignified funeral. And that's basically the problem. And that's why we as Kofifi went the extra mile, speaker, where we spoke to Kurs, and we told Chedwin and the team at Kurs and Grant and them, you're not going to do business in our area if you're not going to help our people if they don't have money. And they're going all out to do that. But you cannot just rely on them. Tomorrow their business is going to be bankrupt because they are burying everyone in Westbury, because Kofifi is actually fighting with them for free. We don't want that. We want our children not to die, but to be educated and to work and to go to church. You must go to church. We must encourage our children to go to church and live dignified lives. We mustn't keep them out of the church and just push them into professional organizations. And I really want you, speaker, to speak to our people, especially when it comes to crime. We need you now to give them security, because they've been speaking to each and every one, and they don't understand the situation in Westbury. They just promise they're going to do this and that and that and that, but nothing is happening.
Yeah. I really think that the issue on crime, not only in Westbury but also around Park and areas like Annandale, has been going on for too long. And we really know that the issue in Westbury is gotten worse and worse by the week, not even months. I mean, for months we've had deaths, killings, and stuff like that. And for me to hear that there's another 3 during this past week is really shocking, because we know where our people come from and how they live and what the issues are within that community. And this has been going on for too long. We've heard about the Western Cape and the drug issues that are going on there, and how province is not assisting in ensuring that policing takes place. It's the same here. Local government is controlled by the new administration, but the provincial police and the police is still controlled by province. A province that is still ruled by the ANC, first of all. And investigations on any issue is still with the normal police. Yes, JMPD can come and assist in the sense that we do call them out now and then to do raids where we suspect that there is drug dealings going on, but it's only for the moment. In other words, they don't do investigations and stuff like that. And with drugs, you need to find the kingpins to get rid of it. And the only way is here for the police really to get involved. And Mbalulwa to stop making all those noises on radio and come and do the actual work, because the actual work is acting within our communities to get rid of drugs once and for all.
And actually, that was my one of my questions, Speaker, as to what then can JMP do in relation to that, in relation to fighting crime in our communities. Now, you just mentioned that, you know what, there's only much that they can do. They cannot actually go on when it comes to investigating the so-called drug laws in our communities. They can only do so much, and then SAPS should actually come into place. Now, maybe the relationship between JMPD then, or the City of Johannesburg, the JMPD, and also the community safety now in Gauteng province. One question will then be, is there maybe that kind of relationship that is really there for the benefit of community members, or is there because now the city is governed by another political party, the province is governed by another political party, therefore they cannot work together? Have they really worked together before?
I think that the problem is that they've never worked together before, because these problems have been there before this new administration. So, as much as I'd like to say that they are working together right now, I think the crime is still there, drugs is still being sold in our streets, and obviously police are not taking action. I've spoken a few minutes ago when I heard about the 3 deaths in this particular area. I spoke to the Director Kanyile, and said, Director Kanyile, I know that you've got a lot of problems in El Raro Park today, trying to prevent people from throwing stones and stuff like that. But can you please give attention to what is happening within Westbury, to ensure that we send out a team again to really start looking at how we can resolve all these issues, but also to include the police in dealing with the crime situation that we've got, because it is pure criminality. How does any individual get it right to kill anybody?
Definitely.
What actually happens in your mind before you start doing that? And these are things that I think parents, yes, did stand up previously, but I think all parents should stand up and fight against this.
Because then you have a question as to when is enough really enough? Because you have been speaking about enough is enough, but when is enough really enough in our communities? Because you're losing so many lives. And as you mentioned, Joe, that we're losing young people as well. Those who maybe some of them are not really employed, but they happen to be now selling drugs on behalf of these drug lords or drug dealers, who most of them, as you have yet, are not also maybe from the community, or they are from the community, but they moved out of the community now, since they have started actually now having an income that makes it possible for them to stay somewhere in the suburbs. Now they come to the communities and use these young people to sell drugs, and only come back to the communities to come and collect what they stolen from the community, so to say.
Yeah, James, look, I don't encourage actually drug talk and all that, because drug is a dead substance. It's controlled by people. We must look at the people that are alive. And currently, at the moment, you understand, I agree with the speaker that the Minister of Police must come in. He must come and basically do his work. He must definitely come and do his work in our areas and must make sure that our people are safe, because we are basically worried about our people per se. We are not worried about the other people that are doing the wrong things against our people, and we have to protect our people. And at the moment, the people don't feel safe because the police are not protecting them. How can somebody a stone throw away from the police station get killed in broad daylight, you understand? And everybody is blind, you understand? Most of us are unemployed, so somebody must have seen something happen, you understand? And nobody always sees anything happen.
But then you start questioning also the response from our police. Also, how does something like that happen actually in our communities? I mean, not far from Sofiatan police station, that happens, and only later for the police to respond. It doesn't really make sense. And this is something that I've been raising as well on different social media platforms. How then do police actually get to respond to situations like that? I mean, this is happening not far from the police station. How then do we get to feel safe in Gauteng province as the citizens of the city, of the province of Gauteng?
I really think that when somebody comes and complains at the police station and knows that they've seen the same police van standing next to their drug house and taking whatever it is. And believe me, people do report these things, but nothing gets done about it because there is illicit things happening behind the scenes. And how does that community, in fact, trust that police will actually take action at the end of the day? And this is one of the things. Sure. So the minister must look at replacing people or swapping people, changing them from Timbuktu and bringing them to Johannesburg so that we can start seeing action again. And I really think that something must be done urgently to deal with these issues where police are not really doing what they're supposed to do, instead of that taking bribes at the end of it. Because there's a lot of complaints like that. I cannot be sitting with information like that if I haven't received it from somebody else. And therefore, Minister Mbalula has really got to stand up from where he is and start doing something about these critical things that are happening within our communities.
So, Councillor, as the city of Johannesburg, as our local government perhaps, what more can you do from your side to make sure that you, by all means, try and twist the minister's hand? Because we can see that the minister is really just having all these talks on social media and being interviewed on different media platforms. But when it comes to acting, when it comes to helping us in our communities, we don't really see that happening currently, at least. So maybe the question would be then, from your side as the city of Johannesburg, what more can you do, or what more are you doing currently to make sure that you, to try by all means to engage with the provincial government or maybe the national government to make sure that they come down to our communities, come down to us as the people of Kofifi, because we're losing so many lives in our communities?
I think the mayor has written several letters already to different departments, including Home Affairs, on the issues that he's raised previously, to ensure that we've got interaction with obviously the Minister of Police, and as we know, he's been recently appointed. Now the other day he was in the Western Cape, and hopefully he's read the letters, and he will be visiting Gauteng soon, because we really need to deal with the issues that are really troubling our communities in the city. I mean, when the mayor talks about illegal people being in the city and not having the right documentation that in fact helps in crime in the city, then they accuse him of being xenophobic, which is really unfair. And I think some of these issues must be dealt with by the national government. Home Affairs is not in the realm of local government. If it was in the realm of local government, we would be dealing with these issues in a much quicker and a much safer way to ensure that our communities at least gets the service that they deserve. It cannot be that we see these problems and they continue for years without anybody, in fact, doing anything. We are encouraging JMPD to attend all the CPF meetings throughout the city so that they can hear and obviously listen to our communities complaining about these things and nothing being done about. And that's why this K9 unit was established to ensure that we are able to do raids on our own without, necessarily having to go and back from province and national to deal with some of the issues.
And that has been also successful. I mean, the mayor mentioned Glen Vista is one of the communities that they visited, and they managed with the MMC for community safety or public safety in the city of Johannesburg to make sure that they get to deal with these issues in our communities, and it has been working well.
Yes.
And just imagine now if we had that solid relationship between the provincial government and the city, I'm sure that we'll be able to deal with these issues.
Exactly, because the National Police, and obviously they also do have a K9 unit, and that K9 unit could be used throughout the city. But not only that, I think the investigations could happen so that you start dealing with the big kingpins. It doesn't help us dealing with the small guys selling the drugs on the ground, but you've got to get rid of it where it actually gets imported into this into our country, number one, and where it's made, that we are able to hit the snake on its head instead of trying to catch it by the tail.
It is 0714259577, the SMS and also WhatsApp line that you can use to stay in touch with us on 97.2 FM. 19 minutes before the top of the hour, 2 o'clock, the Empowerment Hour coming to you live between the hours of 1 and 2. We have the Councilor Vasco Da Gama, the executive or the speaker of the city of Johannesburg, joining us on the Empowerment Hour, speaking about those challenges that we have in the communities of Kofifi land. What are some of those challenges that we have encountered? And also something that you want the city, maybe the new administration of the city, to raise. This month, we'll definitely be getting to resolve some of those issues in our communities. Joseph Koti on the other side will also be looking at some of your comments that are coming through.
Yeah, James, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, because you the anchor of this program, I'm going to give you the tablet, but we're just going to connect it to a battery so that you can remotely control the tablet. And then what we will do is we will give the speaker an opportunity to answer questions that are basically asked by the community. There's only one concern that I've got, and I want the speaker to actually speak to the people. Speaker, is crime an area that must only be tackled if the minister is available? What about the city, and what about the other organs that have to work away from the minister to make sure that crime is basically kept to a low in our areas? Because crime is actually the important thing. And also I want you to also address this one, because we've got councillors on the ground and they are never ever visible when those type of things, just to voice their support to our people, and also to be the gap between you as a speaker and the city, and they as the councillors on the ground for the community, because it's only community people that have to go out to be the community police forums and other organs in the community that are basically going out to do those type of things. And then we as Kofifi want to state it clearly that we're there for our people, and we don't want to be in a political battle. We just want to see actual work done in the community, be it a small problem and be it a big problem, but it must be done, and we're the voice of our people. And that's why, James, I want you to actually, I think we must go for a short break so that I can give you that battery, and then what we're going to do is we actually going to speak about that problem, because it's not a political problem, James. It's a humanitarian problem, and I don't think we must politicize this thing, speaker. We must actually look at the human values of the problems that we have in our communities, because everybody just wants to politicize it. And I'm not worried about political parties. I'm worried about our people, because we are the voice of our people, because we want whoever can and are able to do the work, irrespective of your political affiliation, just to come and do the work, because the people need action.
We'll definitely be speaking about elections or electioneering come 2019. But for now, it is all about our people in Kofifi land. And maybe it is about time as well that our leaders understand that it is about the people of Kofifi land, and they need to start now, stop acting political and start acting in relation to, managing situations in our communities. It doesn't matter which political party you represent, it is about the people of Kofifi land.
El Dorado Park. Keep it locked on Kofifi FM 97.2. Where it all began. Westbury. Keep it locked on Kofifi FM 97.2. Where it all began. Toekomsrus. Keep it locked on Kofifi FM 97.2. Where it all began.
All right, we'll definitely be driving that conversation in a short while. Let me just do this and remind our Kofifi landers to keep on sending your views on this station where it will begin. 97.2, the only frequency worth listening to. Let's do this. We'll be back in a short while.
Stand against violence.
My name is Joseph Kotti.
Elias Lubakane.
Pops.
And Claudia.
Karabo Pasha.
Rosemary.
My name is Aziz Kara.
Clyde.
Refilwe Todezi.
Chantal Wilson.
Danielle Vaz.
My name is Reggie Philander.
Apostle Moses Kenneth Weeds.
Simon Kotti.
Cleaver to the T and Creighton.
My name is Walter Reed Sanders.
James Seattle.
Claudine White.
DJ Enso.
Kofifi FM 97.2 says no to violence. And we are strongly against the senseless shootings and killings in Westbury, New Clare, and surrounding areas.
The International Committee of the Red Cross has described the fighting for Aleppo as, quote, beyond doubt, one of the most devastating urban conflicts in modern times.
It's hard to describe the feeling when you flee your country and you lose your home and your family and you watch your mother die right before you. It's indescribable.
The Commission is gravely concerned for the safety of civilians, including a report that 100,000 children living in eastern Aleppo city where violence has reached new highs.
The destruction of Aleppo in Syria is a humanitarian disaster. Innocent civilians, including children, are being killed daily. One day our kids will ask us, what were we doing when Aleppo happened? And what will we say?
Don't let Aleppo just be a trend that we follow. Let us unite and do something to benefit the people of Aleppo. Let's start by praying for everyone in Aleppo.
Father God, we cry out for the people of Aleppo.
We, as Kofifi FM, Ecclesia Radio and Ecclesia Ministries, join hands and stand in agreement in prayer with the people of Aleppo.
Welcome to our world. KTS Kofifi Talent Services is now offering their expertise for your private or corporate function needs. If you would like any presenter of Kofifi FM to DJ, MC,
here we go again,
or make a public appearance at your private or corporate event, whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, wedding, dance, we have the DJ, the music, and the vibe to make your party jump. Old school,
do you remember?
R&B, hip-hop, and house. Kofifi FM DJs promises to keep your party alive. Book your favorite presenter or DJ by sending an email to bookings@kofififm.co.za. That's bookings@kofififm.co.za.
Hi, I'm Dr. Victor, and you're listening to Kofifi FM 97.2.
Family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs. The ones who accept you for who you are. The ones who would do anything to see you smile. And who love you no matter what. Let us nurture the practice of great family values. Kofifi FM, your family radio station.
And we have about 11 minutes before the top of the hour, 2 o'clock, 97.2, the only frequency worth listening to. We have the Speaker of the City of Joburg, Councilor Vasco Da Gama, in studio with us on this station where it will begin. And a comment coming through from Amalia Anastasia saying, afternoon, Kofifi presenters Joseph and James, following all the speeches, I have to say that I'm concerned. When is Claremont always going to be acknowledged? Right, we are speaking about Westbury and the surrounding areas there. So Claremont, Catharata Park, Coronationville, all these communities. I mean, these shootings have been happening in all these communities that we mentioned. And I must say that also, speaking about Claremont, about a month ago, I was speaking to one of the Kofifi learners there in Claremont, and we were speaking about these issues of these shootings that have been happening in our communities. And it was also an issue that is really concerning them. Even today, they are still being concerned about these issues. Bosmont, all these communities. So we really appreciate you for staying tuned to 97.2. And a comment here, good day, Mr. Speaker. We have formed the Greater Sophiatown Greater Development Forum in Region B. Now, we communicated via email with your office when it comes to partnership with that. And all right, so we'll definitely be addressing this. I think this should be addressed directly to your office, Mr. Speaker. This one is coming through from Mr. Manny Mantos, speaking about the relationship that organizations like the Greater Sophiatown Development Forum can have with the Speaker or with your office as the Speaker of the City of Joburg. So maybe this should be sent directly to you. I'll make sure that I forward this to your office in a short while.
Please do.
So, but of course, that relationship can always be organized between you as the Speaker's office and also with community members that are about developing our young people or also fighting crime in our communities. And here's a comment, a concern about the land invasion in Hamburg. Hi, James. Can you address the situation of the land invasion that is happening in Hamburg and Creswell Park? We need the assistance of the mayor and our councillors to step in. We are very concerned as it also puts us in danger in our area, concerned members of Hamburg and also Creswell Park. So that's also one of the concerns coming through there. And then, all right. Thank you for joining us. Do send your comments on our SMS line, WhatsApp line 071 425 9577. And they must also look at Notre Ser because they do nothing for us. I mean, Speaker, I know that you are familiar with Notre Ser. You actually from these communities mentioned here. What is happening in Notre Ser? Are we also addressing the people of Notre Ser? Are we also helping them, or are they also the forgotten citizens of this city?
Well, starting with your last question, and obviously the comment from the community, I think Noordgesig is part of the forgotten people, and obviously the city is looking overall to all these areas that has been forgotten, and that's not the only area. I also think that hostels for very many years are still the same as they were in the apartheid days, and those are also part of the areas that we are looking at. So we haven't forgotten anybody. Believe me, let the budget come out on the 23rd, and you look where you are placed on the budget. It addresses most of the issues that people are actually complaining about. Because remember, we ordinary community members. I was an ordinary community member. I come from there, and we've listened to people, so we were able to pick up some of these things that people are talking about, and ensuring that it's part of the budget. But remember, this first budget is a 5-year budget, and therefore some of the things that cannot be done during this financial year will be done in the next one. On the issue of Hamburg, I just come from a meeting 7 o'clock this morning where we actually discussed this issue. The lawyers are busy looking at that particular issue to ensure that we are able to take action in the proper way, not just go and bulldoze. At the end of the day, we find ourselves in court and the city having to fork out money that it doesn't have instead of using it for service delivery. So something is being done about Hamburg, but it's not only Hamburg. There's a few other areas where illegal land invasion is taking place, and the city is taking action through its legal advisors to ensure that we do it properly and not just in any way. You've also spoken about the greater, what is that?
Sophiatown, Greater Sophiatown.
Greater Sophiatown, if I have that communication, if you did communicate with me and you've not yet had a proper response, or maybe that could be forwarded to me so that we want a relationship with all communities to ensure that we are able to deal with the service delivery problems that they do have. And obviously, if they want to get involved, I think the MMC that deals with JMPD and Michael's son actually wants more communication with communities, because if he talks to communities, that is where he will pick up the problems and be able to deal with them. In fact, he's going throughout the city where he arranges special meetings with communities to find out which people do participate within CPFs so that he can get them on his team, so that he knows where the crime areas are within the different areas throughout the city. If we have to do investigation in that way, where we have contact with ordinary communities and they are able to tell us, this is where the drugs are sold, this is where you've got a problem on Friday night, where people are being robbed when they come from work, walking through the bushes and stuff like that. That type of information is what he wants, so that he knows where the trouble spots are throughout the city and be able to deal with problems. And unfortunately, in the past, you didn't have that intel.
Sure.
So we want to communicate with communities so that we are able to have the right intel and know exactly where to hit to stop crime in the city.
Have we reached a state of emergency? Here's a comment coming through, Speaker. We need to get in soldiers or state of emergency. Enough is enough. We as parents cannot really handle this situation anymore. And that's in relation to the shootings and all criminal activities in our different communities of Kofifi. Are we a state of, have we reached a state of emergency?
This has been a state of emergency for some time.
Okay.
It's not only now. I mean, when the first and the second killing happened, it should have been stopped then. And unfortunately, our government is not proactive. And I don't want to hear Koti talk about political parties. It's not about political parties. It's being concerned about the crime that has been that is happening in the city and that has been happening for quite some time. And we should be taking action. I'm angry as I sit here. I'm not happy with what is happening throughout the city. And therefore, I can feel the anger and I can hear the anger of people out there. But anger won't help me. We've got to take action. And that's why we will try our best through JMPD to do what we can and also involve the minister when to start dealing with these issues. And I urge him, if anybody from the minister's office is listening to this conversation, I urge him to really drastically take action within the city of Johannesburg. It's not just the forgotten areas like Claremont and all the other areas. It's the whole of the city of Johannesburg where this uncontrolled crime is taking place, and drug lords and those people that are doing illegal things are just taking, doing what they want without any action being taken at the end of it.
And a comment coming through saying that we should not only deal with the kingpins, but we also need to deal with each and every person involved when it comes to the selling of drugs, the distribution of drugs in any way. We also need to deal with that. That's a comment coming through from Kofifi. And then another one, the cutting of grass, the drains are blocked between the flats, water running from sewage throughout Kofifi. Those are the things that need serious attention from the city. And that one is coming through from one of the concerned parents in Kofifi. Now you mentioned that you are dealing with this as the city of Johannesburg, and you'll be doing that when it comes to the passing of your budget later this month.
Yes.
And I believe this will also be some of the things that you'll be dealing with as the city of Johannesburg.
Yes. That, in fact, cutting of grass and repairing of sewage running down the street should be part of the past budget. I mean, there is a budget that basically looks on the repair of infrastructure currently, and that should be something that the entities can deal with, either Joburg Water through the normal call center. If they don't react, contact your local councillor, give them the reference number, show them that you have called and you have a reference number, and they should be escalating that to ensure that those type of things are dealt with immediately.
Speaker, there's one important question that I want to ask you, and it's been happening for the last 30 years now.
Yes.
In the apartheid era, time and also after apartheid,
yes,
we have non-performing councillors. That's why we're having problems in our communities. We have non-performing councillors on the ground, and it's like a habit now. Whenever there's new management taking over, like the city is now under new management, We have councillors that are just cruising in communities like this. What are you going to do to address the situation of non-performing councillors? Because you must get the fright when you see that most of the people, you understand, I want to engage with you direct now, is because the people on the ground are not doing their work, and people are so up in arms against the people on the ground. And it's not just starting with you; it's an history that is following itself year in and year out, where people are not really seriously being represented by the people that you have given the mandate on the ground to represent them. And now people are coming to you by themselves and via organizations like the one that Mr. Sendowns have been mentioning, and then the community police forums. But when are the people on the ground, the councillors and all people that are leaders in government and in the city, when are they going to take our people seriously?
And maybe while responding to that, Councillor, you can also respond to this one, because you are almost out of time. We are out of time, actually.
We can give the councillor time,
okay,
James. We will just, we want him to actually speak. It's all about the people, and we have him here now, and we're just going to give him some time.
All right, Councillor. Now, let's speak about the concerns from our coloured communities. Why is government neglecting and ignoring the coloured communities and only remember them during the elections? I mean, come election time 2019, our communities now will well be thought of. But now, after the elections, these are some of the comments that I'm getting here that what do you mean government? Because government does not, I'm going to say this as it is, government doesn't give a damn about us as the coloured community.
Yeah. I think this is an issue that I think we tried to address in the beginning, and I tried to be as soft as I can, and I don't want to be political, because once you start talking about political parties, then it is as if you are politicking. Yes, coloured communities are neglected, and I recognize that, and I've been fighting against this for years. That yes, there is a backlog in service delivery, and in fact, maintenance in coloured communities, not only coloured communities but also Indian communities, for that matter, throughout the city, and it's not just one particular area, but it's throughout the city, and these are the type of things that we are trying to address, and that's why the mayor is talking about. He's not talking about coloured, white, Indian, or whatever. He's saying forgotten people, because the coloured and the Indians definitely feel that they've been forgotten throughout this period. Those people in hostels feel that they have been forgotten for 22 years, if not more, even during the apartheid eras. So what I'm trying to say here is that we have given attention to those areas to ensure, and the mayor have said it last week, that those are the areas that we are going to concentrate on to ensure that service delivery is brought back where areas have been neglected. Right. I hope that question is answered. The other issue that you've mentioned, Koti, was about councillors that don't do what they want. We've got a list of them, and believe me, the Chief Whip is dealing with those issues, where councillors have, sometimes don't even respond to calls from communities, but also we're also ensuring that the ward committees now is going to be called together. They're going to be workshopped before the end of this month and in the first week of next month, to ensure that we take through these ward committees through a process where they are able to assist some of these councillors to ensure that service delivery is brought up to speed and up to the right level, and obviously so that communication between the city and the communities out there can happen in a much speedy way. This morning, the mayor in fact asked for a continuation with engagement with the communities, and obviously a program to be set up for the whole year up until the end of this year, so that we can go out to communities, go and listen to communities, and fix problems right there in those meetings where officials are sitting and those officials can take the details and start dealing with service delivery problems on the ground. So we are really prepared to ensure that we deal differently with the issues in the city of Johannesburg.
All right, and we thank you for joining us on 97.2 FM, the only frequency worth listening to. I don't know if maybe going to go on a news break, because now Chantel is waiting on the other side to give us the news.
we can go on a news break,
All
James,
right,
and then we promise the Kofifi lenders that we will definitely make sure that you can maximize the opportunity that you have with the Speaker of the city, because he's a busy man and he's here right now. And also, when we come back, we will definitely also tell you that if you cannot get hold of him or other people, how effectively with your problems can you communicate to anybody that they have already now made available for you to communicate with regarding your problems, be it any problem. But don't go away, we'll be back.
Kofifi FM News.
Top stories at the hour 2 with myself.
After 2 o'clock, we have to get out of here, unfortunately so, and give way to the KYC show between the hours of 2 and 3 on 97.2 FM. But now, earlier speaker, you spoke about councillors that are not really, or community members are complaining about. Here's a comment coming through to say, Councillor, can you also inform the listeners that what councillors only escalate the community's issues, but they get to escalate the community's issues, but they do not get assistance because of their political party affiliations?
No, I don't think that it's still the case.
Okay.
It might have been the case in the past, but currently it doesn't matter which councillor actually raises each issue with the current administration, and that issues are not dealt with. It's not according to political parties. The Speaker's office is completely unbiased. In other words, it has to serve the 270 councillors in the city of Johannesburg, and that includes the mayor. In other words, if the mayor has got a complaint, I've got to deal with it. If an ANC councillor in the middle of Soweto has a complaint, I've got to deal with it. It doesn't matter which political party, in fact, raises the issue. So it's got nothing to do with politics.
All right. And lastly, before I go to you, Joe, before we wrap up, I feel that we don't have problems in the city of Joburg, just untapped solutions. That's one of the comments coming through. Yes. And then, Mr. Councillor, this would be appreciated if our ward councillors in Eldorado Park can actually start working with the communities. There's a comment, another comment coming through from Kofifi. I see so many comments coming through, but unfortunately, so we are out of time. I'm going to give to you, Joe, as we are wrapping up, to give way to the KYC show.
Yeah, James, I know that the speaker is a father, he's a parent, he's a community leader, and he's on the ground, and he was on the ground for most of his political career, and also his career as a community activist. Speaker, people are down in our areas. Our mothers are crying. I am an activist that are fighting for the people on the ground, and that's why I said earlier on, I don't want to politicize anything. We are human beings. Yes. We are God-created creatures that were supposed to live on this earth, you understand, unhurt, with one another, tolerating one another, and actually loving one another, because God operates with love. I want you now, I'm going to give you as much time as possible to speak to our people. You know what is the hurt. I mean, our mothers are crying, and lots of bad things are happening with our people. So just speak to our people. I want you to take as much time as you can just to give our people comfort. Forget about politics. Forget about your title as the speaker of the city. Just speak to our people and make our people understand that an hour from now, steps are going to be taken to make things better for them.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you think about the type of problems that we have in our communities, and not necessarily only in the city of Johannesburg, but throughout South Africa, it brings you to tears when you think about the issues that we have to deal with. And that is starting from Cape Town up to the furthest point in South Africa at the Zimbabwean border. And the type of issues that we've got to deal with on a daily basis that are really affecting ordinary people's lives. Mothers having to beg to have a plate of food at the end of the month for their children. And old people have to stand in long queues to wait for what they deserve, what they've worked for all these years, a pension from government, and in fact having to battle to feed a family of sometimes 6 to 7 people at home, and also having to wait for all these years for a house that was promised 1994 after the elections up until now, and still don't have it. So all these things, in fact, make one wonder as to what is it that we are doing, and what is it, where did we go wrong in fact have the situation that we've got. The unemployment rate within South Africa is high, and our children are sitting at home depending on us as parents to feed them and their families. And all these things, in fact, bothers one when you look at your surroundings and, in fact, what is happening. I understand all this. But if I wake up in the morning and my first goal is to ensure that I look after what the residents out here is yearning for, a job where they are able to go to work, ensure that they are able to feed their own families and not depend on handouts. I know that's what people are yearning for out there. We've gone on a course in the city to ensure that that happens. But we need the time to deal with all these issues. And that's why they're saying that we've got to turn the city of Johannesburg, the inner city of Johannesburg, into a city where construction work happens 24 hours a day. That will create the jobs for our people out there. We've got to establish a city and, in fact, give encouragement to business people out there to invest in the city so that we are able to create the necessary jobs in this country. We've got to ensure that we are able to recreate all those factories, creating garments, shoes, and all that, so that we are able to employ the people so that they can start looking after themselves and not depend on the handouts that are being given on a monthly basis. Those are the things that I think people should look out for. That is the aim. But remember, it won't happen overnight. It will take time for us to reach that stage where we are be able to do that. I know that previous governments in the city of Johannesburg have promised all these things that I'm talking about, but there's a difference. Let's work together to achieve that. If we are going to break down and actually damage our own infrastructure, we're not going to reach that, because the little money that we've got to go and redo all those things that people are busy damaging today. So let's think about what we do. Let's talk, create the necessary platforms where we are able to talk. We went throughout the city for the past month and had a discussion with communities. Yes, there was disruptions in certain meetings, but in some meetings we had fruitful discussions around these issues. And let's continue with these discussions so that we are able to bring not only the councillors closer to the people, but the people closer to government, so that they are able to guide us as to where we are going. Let's get involved in those school governance body meetings. Let's get involved in those CPF meetings to ensure that our communities are safe. And we will try by all means to ensure that services are brought to people through the processes that are legislated to get that conversation going. I think those are the issues that I'm very concerned about. And I hope that people are going to stay in contact, phone my office to ensure that we deal with the issues that you've got with councillors and everybody else within the city. If there's a service delivery problem that you cannot deal with, please phone. Pick up that phone and contact us so that we are able to deal with it.
Okay. Lastly, Speaker, school principals and I can mention one, Dr. Bean Robinson, and a lot of other school principals are working in poor communities to encourage the appetite for learning. And what is happening now is that everything stops after matric, and tragically, because of being discouraged, young girls goes into the trades where we see them having elder men looking after them, and they are discouraged because after matric you get a situation where they don't have support from the city to go into different direction, because everybody cannot go to varsity. And we have a situation where there's no direction. And I'm going to make a critical statement because during apartheid there was some direction because people had the opportunity after matric actually to go to trade school, to do this and to do that. What is the city going to do for the youth? Because the youth are now so discouraged, and we have a very, very big suicide rate because a very, very intelligent student from Westbury last week went and killed himself. He went to throw himself under a train because of no opportunities to help taking his family out of the poverty situation. So what are you going to do for the youth going forward?
I think the city has already started on that. There is different training programs within the city where we are taking students and obviously our matriculants through some programs. But also at the same time, as you know, the biggest complaint was Josie at work. Why are we stopping that now? We are getting all those people into the entities to start working within the entities, having permanent jobs, not just temporal anymore. As you remember, there was a 3-month period and then you had to wait for somebody else to have another 3 months. Now we have people taken people from Josie at work to be permanently employed at Pick It Up and Joburg Water and all that. And that's why we went out on a recruitment drive to ensure that we've got 1,500 JMPD officers employed in the city so that we can start dealing with the crime that is within the city. And so is the rest of the other entities. After the investigation, and the mayor said again, 18 months, give us that 18 months so that we are able to incorporate all these entities into the city so that we can create the permanent jobs that people want. Those entities, like for instance City Power, and I think I spoke about it the last time that I was here, City Power used to train its own artisans within City Power for to become qualified electricians and whatever. It's not happening anymore because all those jobs are in fact given to contractors that employ a minimum of people, but just look at what they get paid for what they are doing. So what we want to do is to ensure that we are able to build that artisan base throughout the city. The plumbers, the necessary plumbers, those people that can in fact drive the yellow plant in the city, cleaning our streets and ensuring that proper service delivery is done throughout. Painting of street poles throughout the city. You have a look at what is happening. Some of them are skew, falling apart. Some of the street lights are not working. Our people must be employed to do those jobs. And that's the recruitment drive that we are busy with right now.
Are we going to create appetite in schools and to and different community radio stations and different community newspapers, because people feel that all those decisions and things are done in isolation? It never comes to the schools. It never comes to the communities. Are we going to go on a drive where we're going to make sure that there's openness with communities? And I want to actually hold you to task for this one, Speaker. We at Kofifi FM will make the radio station available any minute, any time, if something good is coming for our people that will take them out of poverty and that also will make our Kofifi landers a happy nation.
Yes. I really think that on this particular issue, you must get Kumi Ramulife, who is our provincial spokesperson on education, in the studio to start responding on the issues that you've mentioned. Yes, schools must be the driver for artisans. We as young people started at that level. The girls used to go through a cook school, and I believe some boys did. Some went through needlework, and that's why they were able to work in the garment factories that we had in the past. Some of them went to woodwork, and that's why we've got those carpenters sitting at home, in fact, today, and no more enough factories to create the necessary jobs for them. Welders, you name it. All those things. The DA, in fact, does have a plan to ensure that we take our school system back and ensure that people are able to create a better future for themselves.
All right, and this is how we come to the end of the Empowerment Hour, extended on 97.2 FM. It is now 24 minutes after 2 o'clock. And once again, Joe, thank you for doing this with me between the hours of 1 and just after 2 o'clock on 97.2 FM. And also, the Speaker of the City of Johannesburg, Councilor Vasco Da Gama, thank you once again for making time and joining us on the Empowerment Hour.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for Kofifi for inviting me.
James, anything from you?
We're getting so many comments right now from Kofifi lenders, but I actually see that these are comments from different Kofifi lenders, but actually raising the very same issues. Councillors who are not responding, the waiting list of housing in the city of Johannesburg, and also just streets in Kofifi land that have not been cleaned in quite some time, and also the issues of drugs, lorry lounges. So those are the issues that we have been speaking about, and we'll just make sure that we forward all of this to the Speaker's office and make sure that you station to 97.2. We'll definitely be doing that on this station where it will begin.
Yeah, James, and from me to all the people in Kofifi land and to all our mothers, especially because they are the targets. They are the ones that go to jails and visit their children, and they are the ones that must communicate to funeral parlors to say, go and fetch my child's body at this mortuary, and they are the ones that comes to Kofifi if there's no money to bury their child, their children. So I want them to be strong, and I want them to unite and to trust that God is basically going to make a way, because mothers used to pray together in the past. So I want to encourage you to pray again, pray together, and use Kofifi as your mouthpiece, because we will make sure that whoever doesn't listen to you as a mother on the ground will listen to you, because we're going to make sure that we're going to go and be a nuisance in the Speaker's office. We're going to go and to be in a nuisance in all the ministers' offices, and we're going to engage with them to make sure that they come to our people, and our people will get the necessary help that they need, because help is our right. We're not asking for a favor, you understand. We are asking for our rights to be met. So to all the people in Kofifi land, it's always a joy for us to actually represent you and to take your grievances and actually your plights, and they are just normal. And if logic is used, all of those must be actioned, because they are normal things that people must get if they are part of a community. So stay strong, and remember that you always have a voice.
And good afternoon to you.
El Dorado Park. Keep it locked on Kofifi FM 97.2, where it all began. Westbury. Keep it locked on Kofifi FM 97.2, where it all began.
Stand against violence.
My name is Joseph Cotti.
Elias Lubakane.
Pops.
And Claudia.
Karabo Pasha.
Rosemary.
My name is Aziz Kara.
Clyde.
Refilwe Todezi.
Chantal Wilson.
Danielle Vaz.
My name is Reggie Philander.
Apostle Moses Kenneth Weeds.
Simon Cotti.
Crewa to the T and Creighton.
My name is Walter Reek Sanders.
James Siatelo.
Claudine White.
DJ Enso.
Kofifi FM 97.2 says no to violence, and we are strongly against the senseless shootings and killings in Westbury, New Clare, and surrounding areas.